Brock and Sandoval clashed over rumors about his publicist.
Tom's publicist was a person who, ironically, no longer works for Tom Sandoval. I wonder why, because he saw that he was a snake who was putting stories out to try and deflect from Tom.
Bro, your team was pushing rumors of me sleeping with Raquel. Your team was, to take the edge off it.
No, they weren't. There's no evidence of that whatsoever.
I would never do that, and to insinuate that is ridiculous. It wouldn't do anything. It'd be throwing a cup of water on a burning house.
They don't even think necessarily you had anything to do with it, just that your team did it.
Is there a chance that happened?
Hell no.
I know through my publicist and people we know in the industry who was planting these stories. And it wasn't necessarily Tom Sandoval calling up whoever, it was his team. And it definitely wasn't his manager, because his manager used to be my manager. So
Scheana
it was
has
his
so
publicist.
much information.
It's plausible. That particular publicist can very easily call up any of the weeklies and have pretty much anything printed, right? So I hesitate to like talk because tomorrow there could be an article about how I'm satanic or something, you know what I mean? So I hesitate to talk about a publicist. But that being said, it doesn't sound that far-fetched, because it does sound like the kind of thing that maybe like him and his publicist were maybe having one of their like talking sessions, and then he could have taken that and thought he was like doing something to help by doing that.
I didn't think there was any credibility to that, and I don't think you did either. But was there a little part of you deep down, just for a moment of weakness?
What?
Where you're just like, yes. I'm just kidding. No,
No.
No, I know.
I didn't even know. Like, that article had already came and went. I had no idea until literally Brock told me in that moment.
Completely kidding, dude. I know. I felt horrible for him. In some side conversations I had with Brock, he had mentioned that it had like a profoundly negative impact on their family dynamic and relationship for a while. It like really strained it, you know? I think a lot of people after that were starting to side-eye their significant others. Just kidding.
Like, is it true? Did she ever? And I'm like, I remember Lala said, if nothing happened between the two of them, that's because you have a good man. But it started to make me think, okay, even if nothing ever did happen, did she try? And he just didn't tell me because he didn't want to tell me that my friend tried. Of course I questioned him, because I would be an idiot not to.
Horrible.
Absolutely horrible.
I don't think that anything happened, but I definitely feel like in hindsight I would have been like, oh, like,
yeah.
I was so trusting of that person. And
yeah, I think at this point, I think it would have come out if it was actually in fact true.
you know what though? Do you remember what I said to you when I was, defending the two of them, my ex and her? I'm of the philosophy that if you can get him, you can have him, right? So if that were to be true, which again, don't think it is, we would know by now, whatever, don't think it's true, don't think he had any interest in her like that. If that were the case, then I'd be like, well, then Scheana would be better off knowing like that's not someone she couldn't trust either of them. Yeah. Although I don't think that's the case.
If you can get him, you can have him. That's so good.
I didn't make it up. I saw it
No,
somewhere.
but I love that.
Lala, the boat ride got a bit rocky with you and Sandoval.
I mean, as much as I want to like stop running around calling everyone a narcissist, there are things that he does that are very on par with a narcissist. And they have a very hard time taking accountability for anything.
When you could like look me in my eyes and say like, you need to be real, you need to be honest with your life. All of those things, knowing that you were doing what you guys were doing. Like, how could you look at me and say those things?
Well,
as much as I'm trying to be softer, here he is, in this moment, like, kind of doing the same shit that he's always done.
Lala, your entire life was a mystery and off limits for years and years and years.
And it's infuriating.
All of us are really putting our lives out there, and you are not.
What have I not put out there?
And then you ask me to tell you my life story?
Am I losing my mind?
Well, look, in this group of friends, in this dynamic, are there times where we keep things hidden from each other? Yes. Are we always forthright with everything right off the bat? No, obviously not. Lala hid her life from us. Like, she gave us a sliver of her life for years, while we're putting ourselves out there. You know what I mean? Like, it's a big difference. It's not that she was having like this crazy, salacious affair with like Obama, you know, like she just, I know it's a ridiculous thing, but like.
That would have
made
headlines.
That would have made some headlines. She just is keeping her like at least more than half of her life, you know, conveniently hidden. You know, if we're in a bowling tournament, does she get the bumpers on the sides, like while we have the gutters? Like, no, man, it's like you either bowl the way we're bowling or you don't bowl. And obviously, yeah, I mean, it is hypocritical for me to say that, but it just wasn't like didn't go on for so long in the sense. You get what I'm saying? I might come at Schwartz. Schwartz, you with us?
Sorry, bro.
Yeah, we're filming a show.
I know. I'm listening.
I might come at Schwartz because of, you know, obviously I thought it was f***ed up the way you talked to Katie at our house party a couple years ago, right?
Katie, shut up. Nobody gives a about your opinion.
Negativity. Shut up. I'm invested in that, right? Lala will comment on things that she really doesn't give a shit about. Like when she brought up Brock's past. She wasn't looking out for you, girl, Scheana. She just was like trying to say something salacious. When she brought up me like staying at that party where Raquel was at.
Tom came up to me and was like, Ariana's really mad at me right now.
Because I couldn't get a ride.
Don't you think you should have just gone at that time?
She wasn't looking out for Ariana. She just was being salacious and wanting to say something salacious. But coming from a place of just not really giving a shit.
The biggest issue I always have with Lala trying to pry into people's closet and pull out skeletons is her motivation. But I see how it is hypocritical for me to tell her to be real when I was hiding a 7-month affair.
I'm not asking you to explain like how you and Raquel happened. All I'm asking you to do is say, I'm sorry that was f***ed up of me. And it is actually a very freeing thing to say. And he still cannot do it. And I personally believe, I am not a doctor, that it's because he is a narcissist.
I mean, if anyone is, I mean, how would he not be?
Lala, you and Sandoval did get to a good place by the end of that boat ride.
That was the weirdest experience I have ever had in my life.
Look, I'm sorry. Come here. I'm sorry.
Just look. I don't want to be this way around you, okay? I don't want
either.
this.
First of all, I have not experienced in this group anybody really like being a dog in my fight. I usually have to carry my own throughout. And Scheana like really tapped herself in and handled shit.
All she's asking for is an apology for how hypocritical it was that you could look her in the eyes and tell her to be real, knowing what you were doing.
Because I was on 100, losing my mind yet again. That is on brand for me. But it was weird because you kind of disarmed him and got him to see like what I was trying to get at.
You looked at me in my eyes and told me that I needed to be real when you were doing what you were doing. That is up.
Okay.
I get it. People
Okay,
cheat.
Lala, I did it for
It's
6 years. You did it for 6 years.
No, I didn't.
I just think it was not the time or the place to try to, you know, as I kept saying, be opening up the history books and calling people out on their prior behavior.
I wasn't. And in fact, what actually has been happening is the exact opposite. Katie, Lala, all these people are now trying to open up the history books and go through and be like, well, like, do you remember when you said this? You were the reason why my marriage failed. And like, Katie brought up something that I said to her before you and her were even married and was like, you called him a battered wife. Like, I'm like, Katie, like, you're the one that always complains about me bringing up the history books if I'm bringing up 6 months old.
Yeah.
That's 6 years old. I think we all have had pent-up frustrations with things in life, like collectively at this group, like things Schwartz, you know, been bugging him about me, things that, you know, I've had that, you know, maybe I've like never really addressed or not, maybe haven't addressed enough for me or resolved enough for me. And this scandal, like, brought a lot of that to a head. But obviously, I'm reactive. But I felt like I took a second, I took a breath, and we were able to just get past it and move on to like what we're really like wanting. I know what I was wanting, what my intentions were, and that was to try to like start a connection with Lala that like I hadn't really put effort into having in quite a while.
From my perspective, we had a very nice moment at the very end of this like clash. Was it the end of the boat ride? All I know is I was exhausted.
Yeah.
Like when it happened. And I think for the first time ever, we've been on the same page. It was like, I'm not gonna be messing with you anymore. I won't mess with you. And let's just go our separate ways and be like cordial to each other. It has never been that way. We've always had massive beef. That is progress. Me not wanting to light Tom Sandoval on fire, and probably the same for him with me, is massive progress. That's what I think.
Tom, you set up a guided meditation.
That moment felt like being on ecstasy minus the ecstasy.
And you're just giving yourself a few moments to be in the moment. So I want you to try to hear the lapping of the lake.
Why are you smirking?
It was like not exactly what I was wanting. It was a little
intimate.
This is when you practice some assertiveness and you tell them that you actually...
Okay, so I'm not okay.
Okay, good. Do you want to do,
I just, I'm sorry. I still f***ing hate you.
It was a little too intense right off the bat, you know? She jumped right into like anal. You know what I mean? Spiritual anal.
It was really hard for me. It wasn't just getting paired with him. It was things at home, things in my head, and then with Sandoval, when I finally sit down and do it and I'm looking him in the eyes, it's like, I was mad at him for so many things. I was mad at him for what he did to Ariana. I was mad at him for what he did to this group. I was mad at him for the things he said about me. I was mad at him that he used to be a person I could go to, who I trusted, who I knew always had my back. But now, like, who the f are you? I lost it.
Like, I don't know you, like the person.
Yeah, you do.
I know who you are to me. But what you did to her.
You just don't understand.
I don't know if I need to.
I think the only thing, honestly, constructively that came out of that specific instance was for the first time I saw genuine emotion from him and real tears and not performative tears. So that was the only thing productive for me, was I was like, there is still a soul in there.
As intense as it was, did you notice something with Scheana that changed?
Yes. I could tell that that day it was really hitting her, and I felt for her. Obviously, hate seeing her like that.
But then I took a moment to think about all the beautiful and amazing times that we've had together. Just took a moment to take it in and just sort of like celebrate it.
I think it got me to see, you know, a different perspective and come out of myself, my feelings. In that aspect, I guess it did have a positive effect.